You could be over here.
Yeah, I've never been told I'm too quiet. That's
Me
the
neither.
first.
Yeah, I've never. I don't think any.
Except when I'm on
four of
crack.
us.
When I'm on crack, I'm like,
Oh, I don't say a word. I'm not doing anything.
no, literally, I won't talk to anybody. I'm just
Right.
sitting being fucking weird.
Yeah.
Like, just
I'm just like
silent.
looking around like, how are y'all fucking washing windows right now and shit? Like,
It's weird because when I started doing drugs, it was a social drug at first, and then it became just me.
What was your DOC?
Meth.
Okay.
Meth and GHB.
see, heroin, I'm doing.
I would really do
the
whatever
most on
you
that.
had. If I didn't have shit, I mean, I'll do it. Except weed. Weed was just the one that fucked me up.
Dude, I loved weed when I was really young. And then something happened when I was like 15 or 16. And I don't know if it correlates to me doing harder substances, but as soon as I started doing harder things, I couldn't tolerate weed anymore. I would freak the fuck out.
weed put me in a
anxiety.
fucking
Like I would
weird
go to the,
spot.
I would like be like, I am not okay. Like I could literally,
Checking yourself in
I
the
could do
hospital.
heroin, but I give me one puff of some weed and I'm like, ah.
Okay, and we are back. Two addicts and a moron doing it real fucking big for episode 20. We brought in an extra special guest today. Everybody, Rachel Elizabeth.
Hi.
Hey, holy
let's go.
shit.
Thank you for coming. Thank you so much for coming.
I have no idea why you are in this room with us idiots today.
What do you mean?
Oh,
It's an honor and a privilege for me.
well,
Thank
the
you.
honor and privilege is all ours. Thank you so much for showing up here.
Yeah, of course.
So we're aiming for different perspective, and you definitely have it in spades and recovery, addiction, all those things. But before we get into that, we got a couple things that we need to do.
Okay.
So first thing is we're going to introduce ourselves. You're going to go last since you are the guest of honor.
All right.
But over here in the middle, Joey the moron. Boop, boop. It's going to come up right there.
To the left, Jay Klein.
Mike Stew, boy, addict, meth, GHB.
Hi, I'm Rachel Elizabeth, and I used to be a crackhead dope fiend.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go. This is going to work out great. And we have a tradition that we start every one of our episodes off with, and we're not going to break it today. So, Jay Klein, take that over for us.
Yes. So like we do before every episode, we remember those that are out there suffering and struggling and those that aren't here with us today. So let us bow our heads, take a moment of silence real quick, and let us think about them. Thank you.
God. Great. Oh, or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like a meeting in here,
Sorry.
but not official.
No,
Hey, if
unofficial.
you feel like doing it, knock it
Hey,
out.
we'll get some hate mail from some big book thumpers like, you guys are breaking the seventh tradition.
Yeah. I've actually gotten those messages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
From
know.
one of my
We-
sponsors.
It's
I won't
already
say no
happened.
names.
It's
But
already
he was
happened.
no longer my sponsor after that.
Goodness sakes.
All right. So for those of you that don't know, Rachel is very, very active on all platforms, really, and
A little too active.
Yeah,
probably.
you're as Ron Burgundy would say, you're kind of a big deal. I mean, I wanted to point out one thing about one of your posts that was super cool to me. It's probably one that you may not even remember. It was so small. But you posted a picture of your son doing open mics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was dope.
And as a performer growing up in my early days and, watching Eddie Murphy Raw, Richard Pryor, way too young. I was 7, 8 years old. I was like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then struggling to do that at 17, 18, 19 years old, you realize that you're not funny. And that's also, to a 17, 18-year-old, devastating.
Yeah.
So watching you take your son to open mics at that early age and chase something and get in front of people and get all those jitters out was like the coolest thing for me to ever see. So
He's
Wha-
so cool.
Yeah,
He's like way
yeah.
cooler than I've ever been. And I don't know where he came from. He was a born performer.
Yeah.
You know, he always he literally like came out of the womb, like singing and rapping basically. I've always been really into music. And when I was growing up, I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
You can sing.
I did
I'm like,
things.
hey.
It's really I tried for a little bit to like get into it, but then like my addiction kind of took that from me.
For sure.
But and my parents were very like realist with me. They were
Yeah.
like, "This isn't gonna work. You know,
Mine
it's never
too.
gonna happen," and da da da. Which I respect. Like growing up in the time that I grew up, I feel like all parents were like that. It wasn't really a thing. But now that I've experienced what I've experienced now, I've always tried to nurture that because I
Yeah.
think it's so fucking important to
Oh,
like if your
man.
parents don't believe in you, who if they're not your
going to?
biggest supporters and telling you that you can do literally anything,
Yeah.
who's gonna, you know? So
Well, kudos to that, because that is a tough road to go down as a guy who stood up in front of rooms and just ate bags of dicks.
you did comedy?
I tried. Yeah.
I respect the fuck out of
I
that.
gave it a try.
That's
and,
terrifying.
Yeah.
But when you're not funny,
You
uh,
are funny though.
but
I can
you're-
already tell by
yeah,
your value.
Yeah, I know, but like in front of a crowd of people that
It's
don't give
different.
a fuck about you, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, what about washing machines breaking or whatever the fuck you're saying? It's
What
like,
about that spin cycle?
yeah, yeah, especially when you're 17 and
Yeah.
your like life experience is like so small. And it's
Right.
like, I took a shit the other day and I think this girl's hot. It's like that's.
Would you try it again now?
I probably would now that I've picked up a little bit more life experience. I have a lot more to talk about, I guess.
Yeah.
But
That's
But-
something I want to do really bad, and I'm absolutely fucking terrified. Can we curse on here? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
yeah.
of course you
All
can.
right. I want to do stand up so bad. I've had people telling me I should do it
Yeah.
for years
Yeah.
now. Anywhere in front of a crowd of anyone, I'm unwell. Like
Yeah.
I have this like I just am I'm talking shaking voice, like sweating, like like just my brain goes completely like blank and everything, but it is something that I want to walk through that fear and like do it.
And it's
because
not. You're not funny.
I feel like stand-up comedy is one of the more scary
Yeah.
things compared to any other
That's the
performance.
hardest thing, yeah.
Because also humor is like, you know, like it's
Subjective.
yeah.
It matters
so-
on the crowd that you
right.
have in. Like
you could
I-
have a good show with the same exact
Material.
yeah, and you could have a really good experience and a really bad experience. But yeah, that's terrifying. So the fact that you even had the balls to do that.
the worst feeling I've ever had in my life. I will always go back to them, but when I'm standing in front of a crowd and I'm not funny and I'm trying to be. But it's also followed by the other side. Like when you are funny, that is the best feeling I've ever. It's that paradigm that that yin and yang. It's so crazy terrifying.
You
Yeah.
hear every comedian say that they've bombed once or twice.
Oh no, they've
And-
bombed a
yeah.
million times.
And
Like,
they
I don't
always
care
say
how
when you
big they
bomb,
are.
you just fucking just go through it. Just
no,
fuck it.
you just gotta
Like
go.
Patrice O'Neill just used to say, "Fuck, I'm just gonna bomb."
Yeah.
and I'm gonna bomb and I'm gonna bomb.
I mean, the best ones lean into it, and
Yeah.
they just go and offend. Like, but we're getting we're getting a little off topic here. So, Rachel,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about how you're. Let's start with addiction. Like,
Okay.
let's start at the beginning. Like, how do you feel like it started for you, and what was the your DOC?
So opiates was like my main, and then I went on a little crack binge for like 7-8 months, like all day, every day. And
Whoa.
Yeah.
Are you from New York?
I'm from New York.
I can hear it. My
Yeah.
mom's from New York.
Oh, okay.
My dad's from New York. My brothers and sisters all from New York. I'm from
Okay.
Texas, but I can hear it.
Yeah,
I can hear it
yeah,
when you
comes
say
out
certain
sometimes.
words.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
comes out sometimes. It comes out when I'm either mad or like if I'm very passionate
yeah.
about something, it will come out really
Right.
hard.
Yeah.
But addiction. Okay.
Where did it all start?
Yeah, for me, like, I started. I think the first thing I ever did was, you know, drink a little bit of alcohol, smoke some cigarettes. I think I was probably like at that point I was probably like 11, 12. And as a kid, I felt I didn't fit in anywhere. Like I felt very different from everyone else. I didn't feel like anyone really liked me. I also, you know, I wasn't really like I had my select few friends, and then wasn't like a cool kid really in school, you know? And growing up, I felt like I was just like missing something as a child. And I was always looking for ways to like not feel how I was feeling. And that started before even I picked up drugs. Like I used to lie, like a motherfucker, the craziest lies you could ever imagine. Food was huge for me from a child. And like, I didn't realize it at the time, right? Cause I'm a literal child, but now looking back at it, like there was this one time I literally ate, I think I was like 6 or 7. I took a family sized bag of sour cream and onion potato chips, like the big party size.
Nice.
Those are good.
And I ate the entire bag, and I threw up on my mom's bed.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I didn't eat them for a while after
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
that'll do it.
I was just like looking back at that now. What child is going to sit there and literally binge eat an entire bag? And it was just because like it made me feel good, right?
Yeah.
Later on, that obviously, like, I started experimenting. I was drawn to, once people started, like, you know, a little bit smoking weed or smoking cigarettes or like doing the, you know, risky behavior things, I was very much drawn to that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you know, like this, okay, this is cool. And then it also gave me this connection to people, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like that's what I was lacking for a really long time. And I know that now. I didn't know that at the time, but I was just lacking this, like, this feeling of belonging and this connection with other people. So through that, I started experimenting. I started drinking and smoking weed and stuff like that. And then it was pretty normal for me. I mean, I don't know, what would you consider normal? Because I wanted to smoke. As soon as I got high for the first time, I wanted to smoke all day, every day,
Right.
you know, all day, every day. And I'm 12, 13 years old. I'm in middle school. I'm starting to run away, and I'm starting to hang out with the wrong people, and I'm starting to do all of these things. And then in middle school, my parents chose to take me out of public school because they were like, maybe they were like sick of me. They were tired, you know, and they were like, maybe the city that I grew up in I grew up in kind of like an inner city type, you know, like I thought I was literally a gangster.
Yeah.
Like I definitely had some I was trying to figure out who the hell I was. I was like the only white person when I grew up, okay? And
Just throw that out there.
yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I just didn't, I was involved with so many other people's cultures that I didn't know who I was, right? So I was like trying to be this, trying to be that, having no idea who I genuinely am. And so my parents took me out of school. They thought it was like the people in the school that was the issue. But the funny thing is like at that age, everyone that I was in school with would call you a crackhead if you smoked weed. It wasn't cool.
Right, yeah.
Like it was not cool what I was doing. It wasn't something that I was
Not
flaunting.
like these days.
No, right,
Yeah.
right. But it wasn't something that I was flaunting. It wasn't something that, you know, people were influencing me to do at school. There was a very select little few group that did it, right? So it wasn't like this. It was the people at school. It was me. It was definitely just like a me thing and me being attracted to that type of stuff. So they took me out of public school. They put me in Catholic school. The Catholic school kids partied harder than
Oh yeah.
Facts.
way harder.
Hey, same thing with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way harder than how they were doing in
Yeah.
public school. They had a lot more resources. They had a lot more
More
money.
And oftentimes it's a smaller class, so these people have been together.
Right.
Their
Oh yeah,
whole-
they
their whole
they all
come up.
knew each other. So I
Yeah.
went to this Catholic school in New York where so it was like 45 minutes from my house, and
Yeah.
people from 45-minute like radius all around the school all came to that one school. So they all came from different Catholic schools. I was one of the only people that came from public school.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of them knew each other for a long time. So yeah, I just went on with the regular, you know, high school experience once I went to high school, and drinking. And for me, I noticed that like my friends would drink and they would just be like, they would just drink, like, and they would be fine, right? Me, I blacked out like every time I drank. And then I was also during the week, like I was like obsessing about the hours to get to Friday, right? To get to the weekend where I could like go stay at my friend's house, and like we could get drunk and we could sneak out of her house and walk around with Smirnoff Ice and like smoking weed in the neighborhood. And like those were, and it wasn't a bad time, right? It was a good time at that time in my life. I was young. I was like feeling free. I was having a good time. So I didn't see any real issues with it at that time. Then when I was about, I want to say like 15, I met my baby daddy, and I started hanging out in this town like 45 minutes from the city that I grew up in. And I would stay, my boyfriend, AKA my baby daddy now, his mom was like the cool mom, right? Like she let everyone party at the house. She let me sleep over. She would call my mom and be like, hey, it's Jessica's mom. Is it okay? You know, she's staying here, whatever. So I had full range to do whatever I wanted to do when I was there. And so I started experimenting with like, you know, coke and ecstasy was a huge thing for me. That shit had me in a chokehold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I loved to roll my fucking dick off.
Yeah.
Like as much as I could.
Yeah.
And when I could not get that, I would have a literal toddler tantrum. And that's when I really I was like, okay, I looked at everyone else around me and I'm like, why are they not freaking out like I'm freaking out? This is a little, am I the drama? You know, like, am I the drama? But like, I still didn't really grasp or understand at that time why, like, you know, why, but I was like, I'm looking at these people. I'm like, how are you not freaking out? Like I'm freaking out. Cause if I don't get this, my world is not going to continue. Like that's what I felt like to me. Like it felt like I just could not go on if I didn't have what I needed and how I needed to feel. So, one of those times where I couldn't get like one of these nights we just couldn't get it right, and I was having one of my tantrums, and you know my boyfriend and his friends all wanted to shut me up because I was probably like so miserable to deal with, to be honest. So they were like, "Get this bitch anything, please get her something." And there was lines of Oxy 80 being cut up, right?
up.
And that was the first time I had ever tried that, and I didn't really know what it was, but at that point I was like, I'm willing, I don't want to feel how I'm feeling right
Whatever
now.
you got in your pocket.
Whatever you got, give it to me, right? And so I did that, and from that point on I went down the opiate path, you know. At that time there was so much access to them, like so much access. Like I'm 15 years old and I'm having OxyContin 80 milligrams, and I started doing multiple, you know, like at first, like one would last me like a couple days, and we would do the what is it? Close hamp? Wait, hamp.
What do you call it?
hose clamp.
Okay.
I wasn't much of a snorter.
I don't know.
I probably had another method I did, but
I'm the moron here. I've never done any of that.
Well, you know what a hose clamp is, right?
Yeah, I know what a hose.
Okay,
clamp
we
is.
would take a
Yeah.
hose clamp and we would like grind them up because they were really
okay.
hard. You
Yeah.
couldn't really just like crush them.
Got it.
Anyways, so that went on for an extended amount of time till I got sick one day, and I didn't know what opiate withdrawal was.
Oh, man.
I'm in high school. I walked to school and I'm like, I'm feeling like fucking garbage. I have the flu, you know? I'm sick. I'm like, so I go to the nurse and I'm like, dude, I'm unwell. I need to go home. So I laid in bed and I thought I felt like I had the flu, like dying flu for a whole entire week. And then towards the end of that, I must have been so sick. Like, I'm trying to think back. My memory is not the greatest, but I guess I didn't talk to my boyfriend for a couple days because I was so sick. And then towards the end, when I was feeling a little bit better, he was like, that was probably opiate withdrawal. You were probably going through withdrawals. And I'm like, so what? Who's opiate? I don't know her. You know, that's, yeah. So, after that, I just made sure that I had it all of the
Just had
time.
enough of it.
Instead of just like going through and just being done with it, being like, I'm never
Yeah.
going to do that again.
Never gonna run
The
out now.
rational, you know, answer to that was like, now I just have to never not have it ever. So I would make sure I had a little stash on me. I would try to control what I had as best I could from that point on. And I just ran with that. That turned into heroin by the time I was 20. I had my son when I had just turned 18, 19. I was a teen mom.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a teen mom. I stayed sober for the most part when I was pregnant with him because I thought it was going to like save me, right? I'm like, this is going to be my answer because this will save me. And unfortunately it did not. As soon as he was born, I had to get a surgery like a couple days after. They gave me perks and I was already back on to, you know, doing what I needed to do with the Oxy, and just continued my addiction from there. I tried to go to treatment. I think the first time, I think I was like 20, think I was 20. How old was I? I don't know. I went to detox like treatment one of the first times, I think when I was, I must have been 20, but I wasn't ready to go at all. Like I thought I was, because I was like, I can see that this is a little, I think this is a little, there's something going on, right? And I went to detox completely not ready. I was med seeking the whole time I was in there. They had me on a methadone taper, and like I was more fucked up in there than I was even like out. And then my insurance cut off at 7 days. So I'm on this high ass dose of methadone and Klonidine, because I'm doing jumping jacks in the hallway to get my Klonidine.
Hey, give me all the gabapentins you got.
And I didn't know, like, I'm just like, I feel like shit right now. So give me it all. And so I went home and I kicked for a few days, like completely cold turkey. So the detox I just went in there and ended up worse than I was. But like, I really did, like, half of me wanted to be sober so bad. Like, once I kind of realized like what I was doing and like how it felt, just internally, how I felt all the time when I wasn't super fucking knotted out and fucked up. Like, I knew that like it was not authentic to who I am as a person. And I really did, like, there was that huge part of me in my brain that always wanted to be sober. Like, I was not the type of addict that refused rehab. Like, I wasn't, like, and my parents were also not the type of parents that were like, okay, let's send you to treatment 20 times. They said like, it was like one time, and we're not fucking paying for that shit, you know? So I knew for a long time that going to multiple treatments or doing the Florida Shuffle or like doing stuff like that was not an option for me. My parents were not doing that. Right. So I think I only stayed sober that time for a couple days because I felt like absolute garbage, and I ended up, doing Roxy's or whatever, and my addiction continued, and I had I had consequences, nothing like major. And then I started doing heroin, I think also around the same time, because I couldn't get the pills.
Right.
Were you smoking it, shooting it, or how were you doing it?
So I was sniffing it when I started. So I was sniffing it. In New York, it's not tar. We have like China, right?
I'm from the Midwest. Yeah,
okay,
there's no tar.
We didn't do the tar
it's all powder.
thing. So you can sniff it just like you would like a pill or, anything else, right? So it was easy. And the person that gave it to me was like, it's literally the same exact thing, right? It's the same exact thing. It's just maybe not as clean or whatever. Cause I was one of those people that I was like, when I was doing the pills, I was like, well, at least I'm not doing heroin, like I'm so much better than you. I'm doing literal doctor prescribed like synthetic heroin essentially.
You know what's crazy? So the person that introduced me to heroin, they didn't tell me it was heroin. They actually introduced it by its actual molecular name. They said, this is diacectamorphine. I said, okay. Morphine. I know what morphine is. I used to take those M30s.
Yeah.
It's got to be the same thing. Because if you would have told me heroin, like,
it's scary.
Like that's a loaded word. Like that's a big H.
Word.
Like, you've told all your life. My mom used to tell me, and she's in recovery. She's like, smoke weed, drink, sure, but there's just certain drugs you don't do. You don't do heroin and you don't do crack.
Yeah.
Meth wasn't popular in the Midwest like that. So but like, yeah, that's just crazy.
When I was growing up, like when people would do coke at parties, I'd be like, oh fuck, man, they're doing coke over there. And then once I started doing coke, I was like, oh, they're not so bad. And then I would see people do meth and I'd be like, oh, damn, that's fucking rough right there. And then before you know it, I'm doing meth. And it's like, oh, this isn't so bad.
Bro, in my active addiction, my plug wasn't answering one day. So like, and I'm hanging out with a bunch of people that just do meth only. And I'm like, well, certainly these guys should know somebody else, right? I was like, you guys know where to find any heroin? And they're like, they looked at me like I just said the worst word in the world. They're like, heroin? No, dude, that's some pretty hard stuff you're doing there. I'm like, as if meth is like...
Right.
Dude, at the end of my meth, I would pull my pipe out in front of you and smoke it. I didn't give a fuck. Like, I used to hide it. I used to go to the bathroom and do it by myself. But, like, if I took lunch at work and someone rode with me, I would tell them, hey, I'm going to smoke meth while we're going to lunch. Is that okay?
Smoking meth on your lunch break with your coworkers is fucking
with a manager.
wild.
What did they say?
With managers before. Like, hey, if you ride with me, I'm going to smoke.
And you're not eating lunch, are you?
In all fairness, they were smoking weed, right?
Yeah, well.
So I'm like, look, if you're going to smoke weed, I'm going to smoke meth. and
Yeah.
that's how it's gonna
That's
go.
fair. That's fair.
And they were like, "Oh," and I didn't roll the window down and fucking secondary smoke. I was like, I was a piece of shit. I'm
Hell
smoking meth in
yeah.
front of you because this is what I do on my lunch break. You're not gonna interrupt my fucking lunch break just because you want to go get lunch. So that's how I was. I loved ecstasy too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
ecstasy.
shit.
I used to look forward to Friday so I could take ecstasy for the weekend. That was
Yeah.
like one of my first drugs, like
Yeah.
in 2000, 2001, before I became an addict. That was like Blue Dolphin time.
Oh yeah.
And like
remember them days.
that, yeah, those the white ladies. Like I don't want to trigger anybody, but I would look forward to Friday,
Yeah.
and then I would hate fucking Monday.
Yeah.
Because Monday was just dog
Oh,
shit. Like I
man.
called it Blue Mondays because I was so sad and depressed.
Dude,
and
the come
fucking-
down from those was like fucking
especially after a
brutal.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday of it.
Right.
The come down on Monday is like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
Party's
this
over.
is horrible.
Yeah,
And then
literally.
you got to get ready for work for the whole week, and you're feeling like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those.
So you jumped off into heroin. You just said that you were one that was like, at least I'm not doing heroin.
Yeah.
Right. And so, did you already realize that you had a problem by that point, or?
I think I knew that I had a physical problem. I knew that what I was doing wasn't like normal and I was like running and gunning, but I just didn't. I thought I was in such delusion that I was managing it really well.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what it was for me. And for a long time, I really was,
Yeah.
on the outside to other people internally, no, right? Like I couldn't wake up. I couldn't wake up out of bed if I didn't have something. I literally couldn't function. My
Right.
whole entire life revolved around this thing, regardless of like what was going on. So I think I realized to some extent, like, this is like, there's a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to really do much about it at that time because I thought it wasn't a big deal. And especially after I had my son, because I was a teen mother, I really felt like that was like the only thing I had, right? I
Right.
couldn't go out anymore. I couldn't go be young. I couldn't like do all these things that I wanted to do that all my friends were doing. So I held on to this delusion that like, this is what I get. This is mine. This
Yeah.
is for
My
me.
vice.
Yeah, this is going to be my thing, and that's okay because look what everyone else is doing. So
Yeah.
I should be able to do this.
That mom gets to drink Chardonnay.
Yeah,
I'm going to do
literally,
heroin.
and
It's
I
the
like
same
heroin.
thing.
So,
You know?
yeah, truly, that's how my brain was
Yeah.
working. I was like, they're
Yeah.
out here getting shit faced. At least I can like function and
Right.
whatever. And I'm not really getting DUIs like you guys.
Right.
Like I was, and that's what we do as addicts, right? Like we really, just like you said with the meth thing and with that's worse or like whatever. We rationalize when we're doing something that like everything else is worse, but really
Right.
it just depends on how you're doing it. People can get addicted to weed. I don't give a fuck
No, yeah,
what
for
anyone
sure.
says,
Facts.
right?
Real shit.
There's a lot of people that are like, weed is not addictive. It's weed itself, maybe not addictive, but if an addict is an addict, is an addict is an
Right.
addict, right?
Right.
And how you use something
Yeah.
is going to be how you use something. So if you are unmanageable in your life and you are, oh my God. Was it How High where he's like, what is
One of my
the
favorite
movie
movies.
Where he's like, have you ever sucked dick? Like, are you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Have you ever sucked dick for a
Coke?
bit? Yeah, was it Coke? I thought it was weed.
Have
No,
you ever sucked dick for weed?
have you
No,
ever sucked dick
marijuana.
for weed? No, so that was
What about Bob?
half baked.
Half baked.
Oh,
half
half-baked,
baked.
okay.
Yeah, half baked.
Dave
Half
Okay.
baked.
Chappelle.
Bob Saget.
Yes, I fucking
Yeah.
R.I.P.
You ever
Bob
sucked
Saget.
dick for weed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's truly how it goes because I've seen people just for weed do some real fucking outlandish shit,
Yeah.
and that's really what matters, right? There's people that can smoke weed normally, totally, but there's also people that can get addicted to that shit because that's how their brain is set up.
And plus, weed is very ritualistic. Like,
Yeah.
wake up, smoke, drive, smoke.
Yeah, pour up, drink.
You know what I'm saying? You don't know about, and like, tell someone to stop smoking weed.
Yeah.
Tell someone to
Or
stop.
tell them they're an addict. Like
Well, I
you're-
would never say that, but like,
It's from the earth. Like
yeah,
all the
that's the
defense
most
mechanism.
defended substance on the planet.
Yeah, and this might be, I don't know how you guys handle this. I do support plant medicine for the people that need it, right?
Sure.
Or the people that engage in that and they're doing it the right way and it's not controlling their entire life and it's like giving them benefits as opposed to pharmaceuticals, right? I support that. But on the same token, like it's like you really have to check your motives and look at like, is this manageable for me or not, right? I can't smoke no weed. I know that I can't, but I have seen certain people that
Sure.
can do their thing or whatever. I don't know how we got so off tangent on weed. I don't really remember what I was
yeah.
talking about before.
That's how this goes.
That happens.
What was I? Where?
So we were talking about like your where you were mentally in the transition of where you kind of recognized
Right.
that you were an addict, and then
Yeah.
we got into the weed thing, which I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think I kind of recognized that like something was going on. I just wasn't really truly willing to do much about it. I think in like I went to treatment in 2013, and I'm trying to think what led up to the point where I needed to go to treatment. I think I got fired. I got fired from a job. I started pawning stuff as opposed to, because there was a really long time
Hell
where
yeah.
I was middlemaning, right? I was running shit for other people,
Yeah.
charging them more.
Most
And
definitely.
it was easy. And
Yeah.
it was easy for me. I think, I don't remember exactly what happened. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. But I learned very quickly that I will do whatever I have to do to get my shit when it's not easy, right?
Right.
When I can't just go be like, you know, I'm going to charge you this much for this and then make my shit and then. So there was a point in time where I lost the job that I had and I had no money and I still needed my shit. So I started pawning stuff. I started robbing people. I started doing shit like that. And I think that I remember that I think my parents took my phone, or maybe they didn't, or maybe my boyfriend broke my phone, to be honest. We had one of those pretty toxic running buddy relationships, right? Because we
Yeah.
were in it together.
Yeah.
Him and I were in it together for years and years and years. And that's John, and he's sober today, but like we really went through some shit. And so I didn't have a phone. I remember calling the plug off my landline because I had just walked to the pawn shop like and took like a family heirloom or something out of like my parents' shit and got
Yeah.
like fucking $20 for it, you
Yeah.
know, something that is like
It's a big deal.
super fucking important to the family.
Yeah.
And I was just like, bro, I need my shit, you know? I need my shit. What did I sell it for? For 2 bags, probably?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I remember as I'm doing it, feeling like just this shame and being like, fuck, dude, like I don't want to do this. But I had to fucking
to.
do it.
Yeah.
Sick.
Like I had to do it, right? And that's how our brains work in that, like that it's literally like survival
Yep,
mode. We are in
absolutely.
survival mode.
Yep.
And I think that's what so many normal people don't understand. They're like, why are you fucking doing this? Like obviously you want to do this shit. And that wasn't the case for me. Like obviously like, yeah, I wanted to get high, but like there were so many points where I would be literally crying because I don't want to do this shit anymore and I cannot fucking stop. Like
Yeah.
I just cannot stop. So yeah, I started doing all this crazy shit and it wasn't as manageable as I had it prior in my life. And so I went to treatment and this was 2013. I think it was like January. I went in the winter time and I stayed for like a month and I wanted to stay longer. I got scholarshiped. My mom wrote like a letter. It was like kind of like a musical. It was Eric Clapton's rehab in Antigua,
Okay.
out in the fucking Caribbean, wherever.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Vacay.
And so like I told you, my parents weren't paying for treatment.
Yeah.
We didn't have money like that. They were not going to be shelling out, like putting the house up for me and my, my junky ass. They
Right,
weren't.
right.
They just weren't going to do it. And I
Right.
respect the hell out of that because fucking treatment is expensive,
It is.
right?
Yeah.
And so I went to this treatment center scholarship and they had me there for like a 28 or 4-week program and they had an option to do 6 and I like begged them. I'm like, please. Like I felt good. I finally was like, I was detoxed. I was like feeling better. I was learning things and I was so scared to go home. Like I was just so scared to go home. I was like, please keep me for 2 more weeks. And they wouldn't. They of course. I'm like, I'm there for free. They're like, I don't know. I had caused some ruckus also when I first got there because I always had to get a rehab boyfriend. Like I always had to do.
Yeah.
Always. I'm just a lover girl. I don't know.
When I went to rehab, I'm so glad that I went to one that was all guys.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
if I would have
It
went
takes
to
that
a
away.
co-ed,
Yeah.
I would have been.
Dude.
There's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
it
hard.
It would have been very hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard. I had multiple experiences like that until this last time that I went and I got sober and I had to. One of the stipulations of my rehab taking me back is I had to be on a boy ban. So I had to
Yeah.
literally not speak to one dude. I had to take that and I had to do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I went to this treatment center in 2013. They they let me go at like 4 weeks, and I went home terrified, right? This was the first time that I was like, holy shit, maybe I can actually do this. And I went to IOP when I got home. Like, I set up this plan. I did my 90 and 90. Like, I was fucking serious about it, but I still didn't work the steps. Like, I went to meetings. There was so long in my life where I just went to meetings, and I truly believe that like the fellowship part and just showing up to the meetings was what would keep me right. And I'm hearing every single meeting, I'm hearing the 12 steps read, I'm hearing exactly what I need to do, but it did not register in my brain. Like, for some reason, it just never went through there, that I actually had to do like this internal work and like sit down and put pen to paper and do all this stuff. So I just went through these motions of going to meetings, and I was doing my IOP and I was feeling really good, right? But like I wasn't doing the work. And so at 90 days, I was also very delusional around my drinking. At this point in my life, I was like, I'm literally just a junkie. I like opiates. Like, that's my shit. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't even like drinking, right? So I was very delusional around my drinking. On my 90 days, I went out to the bar to celebrate my 90 days. I was like, I'm literally cured. This is it for me.
Yeah.
And now I can be normal. Like, I'm recovered. That's not that night. I already ended up doing coke. You know what I mean? Drinking comes coke. And then I felt like shit. So I'm like, all right, let me actually, like, I'm going to get what I need. Right. Yep. And so eventually I went through years of that, like that cycle, trying to be normal. I tried all of these different, I went through a WOOK phase where I went to EDM festivals and I was like, am I psychedelic? Like, I'm going to be like, camping outside, fucking not washing my hair, like just being weird, just being real weird, like tripping on balls on acid and fucking just doing weird stuff. And all of these different phases that I went through, I would have like a little bit of a good time, and just always I would end up back, back to the opiates every single time. And I was tired. I was getting tired of it. I couldn't stop no matter how much I tried. I continued to go to meetings through being high, through doing all of this stuff. And I could never stay sober because I still wasn't doing the work. I wouldn't listen. I would go in the rooms. I would find the sickest dude in the room. I'd be like, I can save you. I have 2 days clean. I'll be your sponsor, and then we would take each other out, and that's how it would go. And it was just like this cycle that I was doing. And I truly believe that somehow I was like, there's just got to be some kind of tweak that I can do to this cycle that it will work for me. Right. And I couldn't grasp the fact to just do what the fuck I was like told to do. I was like, no. There's some kind of way that I can figure out how I can work this. I tried using just only on Tuesdays, right? Or like not using 3 days in a row so I wouldn't get sick. Like all of these different, right? I'm like, if I only do it for 2, I won't feel like shit. And then I can like wait a few days and then I'll do it. And like, I tried every fucking way to successfully use heroin. That was like, what?
Yeah.
Like what? Like, yeah. So that was my life. And eventually, I think I just like went kind of completely off the rails, and but during that time that I went to treatment, that 90 days that I got sober, I went to dental assisting school. I got my certificate. I got a full-time job. In that 90 days, I had accomplished more than I had in the 7+ years I had already been like in my active addiction, right? So there was a little light of like, look how much I can fucking do when I'm sober.
In 90 days.
Yeah. In 90 days, dude. Yeah. Like, I went to school, I got their certificate, I got a full-time job in this new career that I was like going towards and whatever. Like, I did a lot. And so, I got this job and I started working every day, and now I'm normal, right?
Yeah.
So I'm normal. I'm trying all of these different ways with this job, and on the outside, everything looked really good. I'm like, I have a job. I'm doing what I need to do. And for me, opiates, I was fully functional on for the most part, unless I like nodded out in someone's mouth, wow, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm also like, I'm a single mom. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Like, my son was really young at that time. So I'm like, I was just up all night.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so tired.
Nothing to do with the heroin.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I'm like at my chair, but like everyone kind of believed me or just didn't say anything. Maybe they were just like, okay, bitch, like, okay, sure. But no one said anything to me. And so I just continued in this delusion of like, everything is okay on the outside. Right. And I think it was even harder for me because I was so functional, because I was so functional, my brain was like, I don't have, there's nothing wrong.
That's
you
what I was going
know?
to ask you. Did you believe that too? Because I did.
Yeah,
I believe
truly.
like, well, I've got a job. I show
Yeah.
up to work.
Yeah.
I don't miss visitations with my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm late to everything, but I still show up.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem like what other people have problems
Yeah.
with. Like other people don't have jobs, or they're homeless, or they don't show up for their kids, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. That's not me.
Right.
So I would definitely justify and lie to myself, like it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then I would even lie to myself and say, well, I don't do as much as I used to. I've cut back a lot, and I've never cut back ever.
Right.
But that's what I would
Yeah.
tell people. Like when people would say,
never cut.
"Are you still smoking meth?" Yeah, but I don't do it like I used to.
Not like that.
Yeah.
I
Just a
don't,
little
you know,
bit.
and I never cut back. If anything, I moved forward. with it.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's
you probably
that,
felt like you cut back because your tolerance was getting so
yeah,
high.
maybe so. And I think that kept me in my addiction for a long time because I was a functioning addict, and I didn't fucking just burn everything. I lost everything, but I still had jobs and this and that. So I think that kept me in my addiction
Yeah.
for longer than what I thought because I didn't realize the insanity.
Right.
I didn't realize that I have a fucking problem.
Right.
Until I realized, fuck, I have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
You
You
know?
don't realize, I feel like, until you're like, oh, shit. For me, I knew I was an addict. Like, I knew I was a junkie. I just really thought, like, because everything, I have shit handled on the outside, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
I really, truly believe that I was managing it really well. I was like, cool, I'm a fucking junkie. But look at me.
Yeah.
You know? Look what I'm doing.
Got a
Look what I'm
paycheck.
doing.
Look at me, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm soccer mom. I'm in scrubs all day. I've never been to jail. I've been pulled over so many times. So my ass should have been in jail
Me too.
so many times. But I would get pulled over in my little scrubs. I got the car seat in the back. I'm really good at like
Yeah.
sunglasses, whatever. Hi, officer. You know, like I manipulated the fuck out of everything in my whole entire life, and I was really good at hiding it because I was protecting that. I didn't want that shit taken from me.
Right.
So I did everything I had to do to fucking try to protect that. But there was also always that other half of my brain that wanted to be sober. So there were so many times where I would detox myself at home, right? I would get all the meds I needed. I would take a weekend and I would like sit in bed and I would go through the detox process and then do like a sub taper, you know, myself because I couldn't afford to go to detox. I couldn't leave my job. I couldn't do this. And I'm like, all I need is just, if I'm not physically sick, I'll be good, right? Like if I get through this physical shit, I have it. I got it. And I would do that and I would get 2 weeks and I would relapse.
Yeah.
And I would do that and I would go get 2 weeks
Yep.
and I would relapse.
Yep.
As soon as I started feeling like better, you know, I would maybe have a couple. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for life. Like noticing things. I'm not fucking getting high, whatever. As soon as I would be fully through all of the physical withdrawal, I would get hit with a craving.
Absolutely.
And it would take me right out. And I would be driving to the plug crying. Like, why the fuck am I doing this right now? Like, why can I not just not do this? And, yeah, it was wild, dude. And I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't stop. And so one of these times, you guys may have heard this story already, but one of these times that I was going to detox myself, I always had to wait like 24 hours to detox myself to take like subs or whatever. So I didn't go into Persips, which I did many a time.
I shared about that in the last episode.
Time. Yeah, heartbreak sucks, but have you ever been in precipitated
Oh my
withdrawal?
God.
Yeah.
What?
Try doing it on a rock in the
Holy
Texas summer heat.
shit, dude. No, I mean that's dead has the worst shit I've ever experienced in my life. But so one of these times my delusion was really going, and I was like, oh, I don't like uppers. Let me smoke crack for a day because like I always needed something to take the edge off of that 24
Yeah.
hours that I had to go through. And a lot of times it would just be Xanax, and I would just go to sleep and like whatever. And that's what a bitch should have done. Okay, crack is wild.
Yeah.
Crack is wild. But anyways, yeah. So I'm like, let me just smoke crack, you know, recreational for medical
Medical
use.
uses.
Medical crack.
Medical crack.
Medicinal crack.
Medicinal crack
love it.
to help me get better. And after that, like the come down from crack is so fucking gnarly. And then when you're already on the verge of being dope sick and wanting to die, those two combined, I was like, fuck. And so I went and copped dope, and I still had this crack, so I did them both. And I'm like, oh shit, dog. This combo is fucking hitting right now,
Yeah.
right? And so I went on like a 7-8 month from that day.
From one day.
From that day. And I'm still doing all the things, right? I'm still going to work, except now I'm showing up late to work because I haven't been sleeping at night. I cannot sit through patients anymore for more than 5 minutes without me going to the bathroom in my job and hitting my fucking crack pipe, right? Because I couldn't. Like, I organized the dentist's like storage closet outside. I was like, let me organize it for. I'm literally smoking crack back there, dog. Like, because I couldn't not. Like, I just couldn't sit in the office anymore. I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't sit with my kid and watch 5 minutes of a show without being like, oh fuck, I gotta go, you know, do this. And my life just, crack really took me down pretty quickly. You know, I'm like, one of my dealers was like a really good friend of mine, as they always were.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
My best
Such
friend.
good friends.
You know what I mean?
That's my
They're
best
always,
friend.
that's my best friend.
best
Let me hang out with you all the
friend.
time.
I follow him
you
on
know?
Facebook.
I literally broke into his house on my lunch break because he told me he wasn't home and I had to wait a couple hours. I like smashed his window of his dad's house and broke into, like, I was just, and then I was like, and he knew. And then that night I had to take him to go re-up because that was like, he didn't have a car, but like I had a car and he had so we were
Yeah.
teamwork makes the dream work, you
Yeah.
know? And he called me on it that night. He was like, I know it was you. Like, I know you did that. And I remember just crying. Like, you know, he's like, I told you not to do crack like that.
Yeah.
Like, he was like good at controlling his crack use.
Yeah.
And he like kind of warned me.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was wild. I'm like, damn, because I was like the crackiest crackhead out of everyone. My whole addiction, I was always the one that was like the worst out of everyone, right? They'd be like, yeah, I'm a crackhead, but that bitch is a crackhead, you know? Like,
The crackiest.
yeah,
of
like
crackheads.
I
That's
was
a fucking
really
great.
out
That's a
here.
great title.
Oh man,
Put that on a shirt.
Crackheads of crackheads.
yeah, I should put that on a shirt.
should.
Yeah. Okay. And
Done.
yeah, so then I went on with my crack use. Shit got really crazy, and then I got to the point where I just like didn't want to be alive anymore. I was like, I can't fucking do this. Like, I cannot do this. I'm going to off myself if I continue like this. It wasn't working for me anymore. It wasn't fun. I didn't feel like I was managing anymore. I was like, everything is a fucking mess. It's better if I'm just like not here, right?
Yeah.
I'm also hearing shit, seeing shit because I'm not sleeping. I'm a literal psycho. I'm like 87 fucking pounds soaking wet. Like, I must have looked so crazy. And my parents even said, because I was already skinny as a heroin addict, right? When I had a crack, dude, I was like emaciated, like real bad.
It's amazing
Like,
what you can accomplish when you don't have to eat or shower
yeah,
or sleep.
I was
or,
living
like,
off of like Mountain Dew Voltage and fucking Airheads and Newport 100.
Come on.
Mountain Dew is like the thing that everybody drinks.
I don't know
Like,
what it was.
Mine was Big Red, dude.
Everybody,
Big Red heroin.
everybody that I
Yeah,
did
I
meth
don't-
with was a Mountain Dew drinker.
Yeah, which
like
is
fucking
crazy.
Mountain Dew is what they
Yeah,
drink.
I don't know what it is. Mountain Dew, yeah, in those times. I guess it's the sugar. Like,
Fucking them teeth up.
My daughter,
Yeah.
my daughter drinks Mountain Dew, and it's been in there for like a month, and it's still fresh. You can still drink
I
it.
love Mountain
It doesn't
Dew.
go bad or some shit. I don't know.
I still love it. But
Crazy.
so one day an old counselor from that IOP that I had gone to, that like we were really close and we stayed connected, and he would check in on me every so often, and he just like reached out to me. He was like, "Hey kid, like how you doing?" And I was like, "I'm about to blow my brains out," you know, like I'm literally about to do it. I am not okay. And he got me into he was like, "Are you willing to go to treatment?" And it was the first time that I was willing. Like, that other time that I had gone away to treatment, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything, right? Like, at that time. So I was willing to go. I was like, hell yeah. This time I had a full-time job. I had, you know, all of these things externally going on that I had to handle and I had to take care of and I was responsible for. And I was just like, fuck it. Like, yes, please. Because I was so desperate in that time that I was like, please, yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so we had to tell my parents, and we had to, you know, I was supposed to go to Florida, but the Florida rehab that they had was full. The beds were full. And they were like, well, we have a location in Austin, Texas. And I'm thinking, Texas, dog. Fucking cowboy hats and tumbleweeds and shit.
We talked about that last episode.
Yeah, I'm like, what the? I didn't Texas. I'm like, I don't know about Texas, but sure. Like, I'll get my cowboy boots. Yeah, let me go pack my overalls and my cowboy boots. And And so I came to treatment here, and I went through one round of treatment, got a rehab boyfriend that first time, and I did a little relapse at 60 days for a week here in Austin. I had never done meth before. I had never done tar before. I had to exhaust every option.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
of course.
I just had to,
You had to figure it out.
exhaust.
It's a new city. You gotta explore,
Figure
you know?
some
I
shit
was
out.
like, you know, let's do a
Dora
little
the
meth,
Explorer.
you know?
Yeah.
I was trying to get crack, but I couldn't. So I was like, oh, sure, let's do a little meth, you know? That's fun. And by the end of that relapse, I was in a Motel 6 by myself, pulling all of my body hairs out with tweezers. I was being fucking weird. I didn't like meth. Meth was not my thing. I don't know what it was, but I did it for 7 days straight. But like, it wasn't shit was real weird during that week.
Oh,
Like,
for
I
sure.
still have a problem pulling my eyebrows.
Really?
Even to this day.
Yeah.
Like this one over here, Destiny tells me all the time, stop. Fucking stop. But I still do it. Because
Yeah.
for so long, I was like, damn, I got to straighten these bitches out. Fucking before you know it, you got holes here and lines here and shit.
Dude,
It's
I
crazy.
went to treatment. I went back into detox with a staph infection. I guess I gave myself with the tweezers. I was a mess. Like, dude, when I tell you, when I got to detox, and also I still had, so I called the same rehab, and I was like, can you please take me back? I cannot do this anymore, like, please. And they gave me the stipulation of like, you are not going to be talking to any boys, right? You're going to do everything that we fucking say. And I was like, finally, like, okay, like, I will do whatever. But on the way back to it took me like 7 hours to get to detox,
Of course.
because I kept trying. I hadn't slept in like 7-8 days, right? And I had more shit left, and I was trying to do it. Like, I was like, I ain't going to fucking treatment until I finish this shit,
Yeah.
right? And so I kept driving around and parking to do it, like somewhere secluded, right? And then I'm like, oh my God, there's someone there. You know, oh my God, there's someone right there. Like, I was seeing shit too. So like, I would see the shadow people. I would see, and I'm like, oh fuck,
Hell
this
yeah.
person's
Yeah.
watching me. So I would drive to another street, and then I'm like, oh fuck, they're right there too. Like, you know, like a crazy person. And the detox is calling me like, you were supposed to be here 5 hours ago. I'm like, I know, I'm trying to finish my shit. And I'm like, I'll be right there. This is what I've been saying for hours, because I was just trying to finish it, and I just got to the point where I was like, fuck it. I walked into detox with a whole fucking 2 handfuls full of shit, which I never in my wildest dreams, you couldn't have told me. You could not have told me that was ever going to be a thing, because I was like, my drugs were everything to me, right?
Yeah.
No matter what it was. So the fact that I went in there and surrendered my drugs along with myself was wild. And yeah, so I finally did what the fuck I was supposed to do. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. I didn't involve myself in any rehab relationships or relationships even thereafter for a while, for the most part. And I stayed sober. And now I'm 6.5 years in.
Hey,
Which
that's
is-
what I was just about to ask.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
crazy. Yeah, it's insane. And I am still very much like, I never ever thought that this was going to be a thing for me. Like, if you asked me ever in my addiction if I could ever see myself being and staying sober, it was just not. It was not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
So the fact that I can sit here, and that's why it's so important for me to, it's so important to me to talk about this kind of stuff, because I was that person that was like literally hopeless. I was like, this is it. Okay, this is what my life is going to
This
look
is all
like
it
until
is.
it's not, until I'm not existing anymore, right?
Yep.
And the fact that I lived in just such chaos and darkness and fucking sickness for so long, and I never really I just never saw hope out of it. It's so important for me to be able to share my story for the people that are going through that right now. Absolutely. Right. And that is the reason that I continue to talk about it. And I talk about all of the shit, and I try to put a little humor on it so it's a little more digestible for people. Right. But it's means the entire world to me to be able to help people that were once in my shoes and know that like you can fucking live sober, and living sober is also fucking pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
This is like
really is.
this is the coolest shit I've ever done. It's you know, it's besides my kids, this is my biggest accomplishment that I've ever.
Yeah.
You know, life is fucking good today. I never in a million years thought I would be doing anything that I'm doing. I didn't try to. It was like God willed and fucking put in my lap, and I was given this platform of so many amazing people that I get to like talk to, and I get to use my voice to help people. It's fucking wild, dog.
Yeah.
So
How did that platform come about? Was it just something, you just made a video one day and it
yeah.
went from there, or?
So in 2020, when we were in quarantine during the COVID times,
okay, yeah.
my oldest son was on the TikTok doing
Yeah.
doing all that shit. And I was like, oh my fucking God,
geez
this is
Louise.
so annoying.
Yeah.
Like, and I say this every time I'm asked this question, but I made a Facebook post around that time, or maybe a little prior, when TikTok was first starting blowing up with all the dancing videos and like all of that. And I was like, if I ever get a TikTok, punch me directly in my shit.
Now
right?
you're all over the motherfucker.
A little bit later, we were in quarantine and a girl's feeling bored, right? And I'm like, I gotta do something. So I saw Johnny doing the dances and I'm like, all right, like, let me try to learn the dances too or whatever. I can't dance for shit. That was not working out for me. So I just started I was also very newly like postpartum with my youngest.
Yeah.
In quarantine, single mom, like doing it completely on my own, going a little. So I just started getting on there and like ranting about mom things. I didn't have anyone to talk to.
Yeah.
Started going, and I went mega viral with one of these videos. I gained like 33,000 followers overnight. And it didn't, even from there, like I never looked at it as like, this is going to be my career. I was like, holy shit, dude, that's fucking crazy. Whatever. I just continued to make content and like, I wasn't working towards this goal of like, let me make this something. Mm-hmm. It just kind of happened over time. And here I am. It's weird.
You think that's God putting you in that position?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I would have never. And what's really cool is like when I was a little kid, I used to love to take the home video, the home camcorder and make skits and be fucking weird and goofy with my friends and make people laugh. And it was such a part of me before my addiction robbed me of that. And now I get to do that for a living. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. Like such a full circle like moment. And like, I'm doing all of the things that I'm doing, I'm passionate about, which is, they say, if you love your work, you never work a day in your life or whatever. You still do. It still does sometimes, everything.
No.
You make anything work, but if you make anything work, it's going to feel like work sometimes. But I am so grateful and blessed and happy in my life today that it's like unreal. Yeah, it's unreal. Sometimes I like think, so I had so in 2017, I had a very near fatal overdose. Like I was like dead for like 7 minutes. Right. And like your girl was gone, dead and gone. Okay. And, I sometimes think like now and I'm like, did I like die, at that point? And then like, this is all like some kind of fucking, I get these really weird thoughts sometimes,
like
but
that
I'm like,
person had to die.
I never truly envisioned my life like this, like ever. So sometimes it's like, is this fucking real?
Is it real?
Is this real? Like, cause sometimes it's like, I need to like, pinch myself? Is this shit real? Cause it just feels
Every day.
Comparatively to how I was living for so long, my life is just so different. And
How is it with your kids?
Yeah, it was
amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. My oldest, we've always been really close. I was good at like hiding my addiction. He never really saw me using. He didn't know. He was very young. He didn't really know. But like he also rode around. He was riding around with me and getting it. Okay. Yeah. I was taking him to my friend, the dealers. I was hanging out with all the people. Everyone I was hanging out with was getting high. We just did not. I never did anything directly in front of him.
Yeah.
Right. And I've talked to him so many times about it now at this point in his life. And like, he was like, when I first told him like what exactly, when he was age appropriate, because I'm very honest with anything
Me
that he
too.
wants to know. He watches my content. He knows everything.
Yeah.
And I am very open dialogue with everything with him, because I think it's I think it's so fucking important, especially because he has addiction on, both of my kids have addiction on both me and their father we were both out here, like really fucking out here. And so I want them to be as prepared, educated for the what ifs, right?
Well, it's like we've talked about it a couple times on here, but I have a 15-year-old. He's got a daughter, a little bit younger, but your communication was lacking so hard when we were kids. I mean, like, parents were just like, just don't do drugs.
Yeah. And because I said so.
And don't,
that's it.
Yeah.
Because I said so.
And don't shield.
Yeah.
Shield was very much the way that it worked. Mm-hmm. But now it's like, man, you can't shield them. You cannot do it. And the only way you can really shield them is by talking to them about it. I mean, just be honest and be like, this is out there. That's what it is. This is going to happen. You are going to be presented with this.
Right. At some point. It's
At
a matter of
some
when,
point.
right?
It's a matter of when, not if. Like, it's going to happen. And I mean, I've dealt with it a little bit with mine already. And it's just like, just got to talk about it. Like, you just got to work your way through it. So I applaud you, and we're starting to see that a lot more. But what's too young?
There's a little fly. Sorry,
oh, no,
I'm not.
there-
I'm not.
there-
It's
there's
not
a-
hallucination.
No.
Okay.
No, they're not. We should have warned you. There's some
we should-
pterodactyls in
yeah,
here.
There's some pterodactyls. I don't know fucking why.
But yeah, it's amazing what you're doing on all your
Thanks.
platforms.
Thank you.
And about relationships, how about mom and dad? Curious about that.
We're good. We're really, we're good. It's funny because growing up, my dad was super strict and like, I did not very much enjoy that. Right. We were not close really when I was growing up, and now we're really close. Like he's actually about to move here next week from New York. He just like sold my childhood home and he's going to move to Austin. And yeah, today I can talk to my parents without lying to them, and they trust me, that I'm not just trying to do some sneaky ass shit. And it's cool. Relationships are good, dude.
It's crazy when you get that trust back.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like at work, it took a long time for me to get it back.
Yeah.
And now, like, they'll bring me in the office to ask me shit, not interrogate.
Yeah.
But they'll bring me in and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what's your opinion on this and this? And it's like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what you were saying, like when you would go off and smoke crack, I used to go in our VP's office and crawl under her desk and smoke my meth pipe. I would go in there when the lights were off, when she wasn't there, and I would go under there and I'd smoke, and then I'd come back. I would act like I'm on the phone, but I got to get to a quiet fucking office.
Yeah.
But I'm in there smoking meth under the VP's
Hell yeah.
desk.
That's crazy.
If anyone came in, you could be like, I'm just practicing for an
Yeah.
earthquake. An earthquake. A drill. This is a drill.
Like, this is the
We're in
true-
Austin, Texas, motherfucker. There ain't
This
no
is-
fault line
yeah,
going
this
through
is
here.
you
the
never
insanity.
know,
Yeah, that's how
Just in
insane.
case.
That's how insane my addiction was. Like, I'm under the VP's desk smoking meth, and then I would put my meth pipe and my torch under her desk where she had a little cubby, because I knew she wasn't coming in that day, because I didn't want to carry it in my pocket. So I'm gonna leave it there for later.
To make
And then
her
I'd
like
come back.
look like
Yeah.
she's
It's
doing
like-
meth.
It's insane. It's such insane.
So,
Yeah.
how hard was the work for you to recover? I'm curious about that because I feel like some people's like they're just so ready. They go in there fucking crawling,
Yeah.
and scratching, and then some people are a little bit more forced.
No, that was
go
it for
in
me.
there.
I went in, tore the fuck up, right? Like I went in willing to do whatever I had to do, and I'm really grateful. Like this round of sobriety, which is really the only long-term sobriety I've ever had. The most I ever had before this was that 90 days. That was it for over 10 years. So I got really lucky as soon as I surrendered to like, I'll do whatever the fuck anyone tells me to say that is like in the program or has some clean time or I respect in any capacity. Like I'll fucking do it. Right.
Yeah.
As soon as I surrendered to that, I had a pretty easy time. Like I did what I kept my fucking head down. I stayed away from people I shouldn't, and I did what I needed to do. And I felt relief pretty quickly. I had a really hard, that rehab boyfriend that I had before, like in Austin when I relapsed, he passed away when I was like 90 days sober, and I loved him. Like I loved him truly. And that was really hard for me, but at the same time, so the day he died, like I just remember I've lost multiple boyfriends too, like in active addiction. Like I've lost just a ton of people, period. But
Yeah.
every other time when I was in active addiction, when someone died, I would immediately go get high, right? I'm like, oh, fucking tight. Like, oh, this is my reason. You
Yeah.
know, this is it. I gotta go. Like, how else am I going to deal with this? When Tommy died, it was the first time that I felt more propelled into my recovery. I was just like, I'm going to stay sober for this reason, right? And I felt more motivated in my recovery to stay sober so that I don't end up like that, so that his death is not in vain for no fucking reason. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just...
Right.
And it was wild. And for the first time ever, I had some connection to something other than myself, because that's something I also struggled. I didn't believe in... I grew up Catholic, New York Catholic, right? It was not my favorite way to be brought up.
Yeah.
I had a lot of like religious trauma. And so I went like off the rails, like just the opposite side. I'm like, I don't believe in anything, right?
Yeah.
For a long time, I had no belief system. And I learned through working a program and stuff like that, that I had to have something. And I still to this day don't know exactly what it is. I don't have a definition for it, but at that point, like I established that earlier on in my recovery this time around, and that changed everything for me. So I felt connected to the people that I've lost now. Now I'm able, like there's this channel that like I can feel things that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
And I have these thoughts that I've never had before. And so this connection and like all of that just really was what drove me to just keep going in my recovery, and relieved. Don't get me wrong, I had my moments, right? Like when I was like 9 months sober, I started getting really bad anxiety. I started having like panic attacks for no fucking reason. I was like just not in a good space mentally, and I was working at Austin Airport in this bar and lounge, and I talked to my sponsor and I'm like telling her about all this anxiety and whatever, and she's like oh, well, what does your prayer and meditation life look like, right? And I'm like, well, I don't really have much of one. I'm going to be real, like I'm going to be, and I didn't. So that was something that I had to work on. When I worked on that, things got fucking better. And then I went to work in treatment from my airport job. And that was like super fucking cool for me. I took a major pay cut to work in treatment. And, but that was like a passion thing for me. And I was able to work with addicts every single day. And then COVID happened. And then I ended up having another baby in there somewhere.
Yeah.
And whole baby daddy story, that's a whole nother story for another day, because he ended up coming back from New York. We got pregnant. He came back. He came and moved from New York to Austin and didn't tell me that he had basically relapsed.
Oh.
Yeah. So we went through 3 years of like complete fucking chaos, and he liked the meth. He liked that meth, and then
I might
meth
know
made
him.
him a crazy, crazy person. So we had to get an order of protection. It was crazy. There was a whole bunch. Yeah, it was a mess. He's he's like a year and a half sober now.
Okay.
That's fucking cool.
Hey, that's
yeah, he's
awesome.
back around the kids.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So shit's really good today. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to get into like the mindset of like, is there any like confliction or like with like the content creating, right? Does like I know some people, like not everyone can do that, because like there's like maybe the ego aspect to it. There's the pressure to create. Have you experienced any type of like mental the mental aspect of content creating that people normally don't think about?
It's content creation to this capacity is not for everyone.
Right.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's the bigger I get. Sometimes I definitely have days where I'm like, I want to delete I want to delete all my fucking.
I remember you made a post maybe like 2 months ago about, I don't know if you were being overwhelmed, but you were just like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
need a small break.
Yeah. I need, and you do. And I haven't really, since I started, I've been hustling so hard to like keep up this momentum and keep doing the things that I need to do. It's not a physically intensive job. It takes up 95% of the time, the free time you have, right? And it takes the time that you let it, right? But to be successful at this and to keep on going, sometimes it's just a lot. And the bigger you get, the more, the more you want to engage with people, and you're not able to engage with them. And I feel I want to talk to everybody. I want to be like, thank you, I love you so
Same
much,
with us, yeah.
to everyone. And at this point, and I was really good at that in the beginning, right? Is like I want every single person that follows me to feel special and that I see them, like I see you.
I've
You know what I
noticed
mean?
that on your.
I try as much as I can,
Yeah.
but I'm at this point now where it is physically impossible.
Yeah.
Which sucks. It's like it really sucks. So I'll get really overwhelmed, and it will be like, you have 2,000 new, comments, and like instead of just going to even like, sometimes I'll do a few, but sometimes I see it and I'm like, what the fuck? I can't. I just get overwhelmed, and then I do none, and then I feel like a piece of shit, and I'm like, these are your supporters, and like you have to be doing, and then like so this like runaround of like, you know, mental stuff, and then there's the hate that I get, which comparatively to a lot of other people that I know in content creation, I really don't get hate like that. Yeah. But if I am not in the right mental state myself, and I see some shit, especially first thing in the morning, I've stopped checking my phone. I got to make sure I do my prayer and meditation and get right with God before I open my phone sometimes, because if I don't do that and I open my phone immediately and I'm seeing all of these negative things about myself or like criticisms or like what it feels like I think my reach across all of my platforms is close to 3 million. Like taking all of 3 million people's like ideas and their criticisms and their opinions on my life can definitely be difficult sometimes. But for the most part, as long as I am in a good mental place myself, everything's fine. It really depends on that. And sometimes I do get into a place where I am not completely on my own shit, right? Like I'm not taking care of what I need to take care of. And I went through a recent period, and that's why I started 75 Hard. That's why I've just like I kind of fell off my game a little bit, you know. I wasn't doing I wasn't feeling very connected to a lot of things, especially like my higher power was one of them. Like I was going through these motions, but I wasn't feeling how I like that fire. I was feeling burnt out. I was getting resentful. I was feeling like irritable, discontent, all of you know, restless, discontent.
The recipe.
Yeah. And it wasn't terrible. I never get to the point where I'm like, I'm going to use or like, I just like don't like feeling anything like that. I don't like feeling where the point where I let negativity get to me. I don't like feeling like the point where I don't want to answer the phone when my sponsees call me and I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, when I look at my phone and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. I know that my brain or like when I start isolating or like all of these things, something is not right. So I just needed to do a little re-gear, like just a little reset. And, I'm 6 days into that now, and I feel so much fucking
What is
better.
75 Hard, so the people that don't know?
Okay, 75 Hard is a mental toughness challenge, I think they call it. And I just want to be clear, I'm not doing exactly 75 Hard. Like I call it 75 Hard-ish. That's what I'm doing.
I love that.
Just for this, so the rules are you have to do 2 45-minute workouts a day. You have to drink a gallon of water. You have to read 10 pages of a self-help book. And you have to take a progress photo every single day. Am I missing any other ones? I think that's it for. And one of the workouts has to be outdoors. And you have to pick a diet plan and stick to that diet plan. And now if you do not meet any of these goals or you cheat even a little bit, you have to start over single time. I've added some. I really would like to get 8 hours of sleep a night. I am like deep diving into my prayer and meditation life every single morning, because that's really what I have fallen the most off of. You know, I was kind of just going through the motions every morning when I woke up, and now I like pop in my headphones, my noise canceling headphones. I put on some music. I get myself in the mood. Some Palo Santos fucking lighting out here. You know what I mean? I'm like getting into it, and so far I'm like a week in almost, and it has already been like life changing. So I can see why people fucking do this shit, but I'm not gonna like if the thing that I'm making different is if I can't reach a gallon of water on a day where I'm like doing something like this all day, or I'm like traveling all day, I'm not gonna fucking start over. I'm giving myself a little bit of like
grace.
As long as I am doing my best, like truly doing my best, and I can like look at myself and have that self-awareness, like, did you actually do your best today, or were you being a lazy bitch?
Yeah.
As long as I'm doing my best, I'm not gonna fucking start over, because the whole premise and the purpose of me doing this is so that it will just continue past this, right? I've started going on evening walks, because one of the outdoor workouts has to be outside. So I go to the gym, and then I do like in the evenings I've been doing these walks, and they've been I'm normally in the house by like 6 p.m. You know what I mean? Like I'll take my kid to go do something in the afternoon. We'll do a water park, or we'll do something, and then by like 4 or 5 o'clock, I'm back inside and I'm ready to go to bed. You know what I mean? I'm watching TV, I'm lounging, I'm eating like shit. I'm just like living my best life. And with these evening walks, I have last night I had a spiritual experience with the sunset. Like truly. And I forgot, I realized that I haven't been outside to witness these beautiful fucking sunsets, right? And I'm like, I was just sitting there like in absolute awe, like walking outside in nature and not being like, ugh, like I have to do this. Like it was just like enjoyable. And I'm like, bitch, have you ever been outside?
Yeah.
Have you seen this? You know, like I just forgot what it felt like, like to like just be in awe of something that like is so beautiful and big. And I don't know, it just really, really got me. So I've just been feeling very connected, and I've been feeling a lot better, which hopefully in turn with your question will make that whole social media. See, social media can get messy sometimes.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely not for anyone. You definitely have to be very mentally well. If you're not mentally well, it's not going to work.
Well, we talked about it last week, but you know, I'm a normie. Like I'm not an addict. I never have been, but the ability after being in rooms with these guys and talking to a lot of addicts now and being in this world, I notice how much more in tune you all are to the disconnect.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not just the connect, but the disconnect. You're like, oh, something's off.
Something's off.
I need to hit this page or go back to step whatever, or,
Right.
you know, you guys are very, very good at that. So it sounds like you have to be even more so because of the fucking platforms that you're on and the pressure. And I mean, we have a fucking fraction of what you.
Yeah, but you guys will.
Yeah.
Be up there. You guys will. I already know it.
And I think also the thing with us, and I know you're on a similar wavelength, is like what we do it for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, the money would be cool, but like, we do it for the reason, for the purpose, and that's
Right.
to help somebody else, to give voices to people, to empower people. I know that's. I see you
and
always
when
trying to
you
empower.
have that intention, when that is
Yeah.
your intention behind it and not the money,
Right.
and that's, you know, those things, that the money will come.
Yeah.
When you are doing the next right thing, and that is what I have been shown time and time again. When I start getting greedy, because there's been times since I started this, there's been times where I've been getting like, you know, a little greedier. I'm like, oh, maybe I should, you know, some brand that I don't like offers me money to do something. And I'm like, I don't fucking like this brand, but I like that money. You know what I'm saying? And like when I start doing things that don't align with who I am as a person, shit doesn't go my way.
Yeah.
Yep. All of a sudden my views are down. All of a sudden my anxiety's up and like things are just off. And it's just like, if I just simply continue to just do the next right thing and stay aligned with how I want to show up in my life, like things they always end up the right way, and you get all those blessings and more, you know?
Absolutely. Because I know me and you, Mike, we love, you know, we love seeing them views go up. We love seeing them subscribers go up.
For sure.
But I think we love more than anything is,
I love the comments.
well, the comments, or when those people reach out for help, like
Yeah.
like the gentleman, the mother of the gentleman that we just helped get into sober living.
Well, that's awesome.
You know, like that's what it's about.
My
Yeah.
homegirl that we helped get into rehab is coming to hang out with us today.
Awesome.
She
Nice.
just got out. She's been out of rehab since she got in sober living Friday.
That's
Oh,
what
man,
makes
that's
this all
awesome.
worth it to us. You know.
Yeah.
And when we can start doing that on such a bigger platform, like helping people every single week,
Yeah.
like if you have can you imagine the people that you touch every day? That's like insane.
I know, it's wild to me. I
And
know.
to think like 6.5 years ago, if someone would have said, this is what you're going to be doing, you'd have been like, bitch, shut the fuck up.
No, literally.
Yeah.
No,
Shut the
actually,
fuck up.
I'd be like, ha.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, if you overcome addiction, like I've had a lot of people that have passed away close to me, especially through addiction. I've had more people die from addiction than anything. And what's crazy is in my addiction, like I would go to your funeral and get high in the bathroom while they're doing your eulogy, right?
Yeah.
Even though you just died from addiction, I'm going to go hang out with addiction in the bathroom because that's my shit. But if someone would have killed you, I would have never went and hung out with that person, right? But that's the insanity, right?
Yeah.
That's
That's
crazy.
the insanity is I'm going to go chill with the person that just took your life in addiction. And to think like if you can overcome addiction, you can overcome anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know anything else except something happening to my daughter that would be harder than overcoming addiction.
Yeah.
And if you can overcome addiction and you can pay that forward, like there's nothing I think that's why God put us here is so we can help each other, so we can prosper and we can pay it forward and help other people do it too.
For sure.
100%.
And like that's what you do on such a bigger level is like your content. I watched some of your videos today, and they're fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
They're
you
funny.
make me
Like,
laugh
they're fucking
endlessly.
hilarious.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was asking, do you come up with your own shit?
Yeah.
You just come up with your own shit.
It just comes right out of my head. Like, and I don't really write
That's all
anything
improvised.
down. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
That's why people be like, "Why are you stuttering? Like, why are you stuttering?" I'm like, "This shit, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's-
I don't
there's-
know what's happening.
It's like a 1997 Dell desktop. You know, it's a little buffering going on because I'm literally trying. My brain is trying to work like as I'm going. But yeah, it's fucking.
I was watching that. Don't say that about my friend this morning. That's so
Because
funny.
that's how I really
Yes,
feel. With my friends, I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. Shut it. Love you.
So I got a question about your circle that you
Yeah.
hang out with, because I'm a normie. I told you a little bit about mine and his and how this kind of got started. But do you have friends that are normies, or?
Oh, do you have friends? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know you have friends.
You have friends?
I mean, do you have friends? That's it. Just-
I do. Yeah, I do have some. So like, for me, I am friends with I don't have stipulations on who I'm friends. Most
Right.
of my friends are in recovery.
Yeah.
Just because the relationships that I've made in early sobriety have stuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also have kids, so I don't like branch out like I used to as much. But I definitely, so when I used to work at the airport at the bar and lounge, I was the only sober person there.
yeah.
Right.
And I became friends with all of the normies there, and they respected the hell out of my recovery. I actually opened that place with them, so it wasn't open yet, so I got hired on to like open it with them, and they had to we'd like taste the menu, taste the wine menu,
Yeah.
taste the drink menu, and I had to have other people, like I had to like tell everyone because I'm
Yeah.
like, and I was so nervous to tell everyone and do that. And it just started off with like, actually, no, I'm sober or whatever. And then it started off with them like asking me like little questions about it. And like one person I worked with came to the meeting that I picked up my year chip at. It was
Yeah.
so nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now I'm at a place in my life where I can have whoever in my life. I wouldn't hang out at the trap house. You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
well,
saying?
That's
yeah.
what I always say.
I wouldn't hang out at the trap house if I got to go in there and do a 12-step call or something that's different, but I wouldn't just be like, hey guys, I probably just wouldn't just chill in there to chill in there.
Yeah.
Unless it's to actually like try to help other people. But yeah, there's no limits on who I can be friends with or where I can go or what I can do today, which
Yeah,
is
it
tight.
doesn't sound like booze was really the problem.
No,
for
booze
you
was never
ever.
the problem, but I'm like that. I can be around. I've been around my DOC helping other people, and I
Okay.
still, like I said, the motive, right? Am
Yeah.
I going into to intercept someone out of a fucking motel room right now, and there's shit all over the place and whatever, like, or am I gonna be, next to someone shooting up because I'm driving them to detox?
Yeah.
Those type of situations, like I'm not just going to be hanging out with someone who's using like that.
Yeah.
But I've been around my DOC numerous times and it has zero power over me because I'm doing this shit. Now, if I stop doing the shit that I'm doing and I get into a squirrely headspace, I can very easily be like, oh, let me get some of that, like, let me get some of that. But
Where have you been?
thankfully right now and to this point I've been very aware of what the fuck I need to be doing and I'm too scared to fully stop. Like I'm still hard-headed. I go through these motions in my recovery, right, where I feel like something's off. Like just this last time where I've started the 75 hard, it was for months I was trying to, it was just feeling a little bit off and I was trying to fix it in these different ways and just not doing like the simple things
Right.
that needed to be done. And it's like that same cycle that I've always dealt with. And it still creeps up today. But for me, I just have to be sick enough of my own shit that I'll fucking do something to change that.
Yeah.
And I'm still like that. That's how I was in my addiction. That's how I got sober. And I'm still like that in recovery. It's not as brutal today, right? But I'll be a little, I'll just be a little like, "Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like this. And then I'll finally be like, all right.
Yeah.
After enough of it, I'll be like, okay, I'll fix something. So,
Yeah, on my worst days, I know like I'm not spiritually fit today.
Yeah. Yep.
And those are the days where I need to go to a meeting. And those are the days like my fiance will say, "Well, have you talked to God today?" And there's some days I don't want to talk to him. Like I'm like, "No, I don't want to talk to him today." But then I know, like, motherfucker, you need to talk to him.
Yeah,
because
those are
that's
the
what's
days
gonna
where you
make. Those are
need
the
to.
days where you need to. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, that's so you still go to meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you sponsor a lot of people.
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, right now I only have 2, so I mean, but yeah, I try to keep I took a little break. So I also run another recovery content creator, and I started a support group for like meetings. We call it 3A Recovery, and everyone is accepted. It's not a 12-step program. We accept every kind, whether you're on maintenance, whether you're doing, whatever, smart recovery, whether you don't want to work a 12-step program and you just want to just show up, whether you're still trying to get it together and you're still using even, you are welcome at this meeting. It's a support meeting, right? So I started that, and I was very involved with that for about a year, and I kind of like put my 12-step while I didn't have any sponsees while I was doing it because I was helping. I was so active in this other program, this other area and meeting that I was doing. But since I think in the last year, I've gotten back with my sponsor. I've gotten back into the work myself. I'm on a step 4 right now that I actually have been sitting on too. I've been sitting on it a little bit, and that's probably where some of my malady has also shown up. So my ass is going to sit down and put pen to paper at some point today or tomorrow, at least a little bit, just to get started on that. And yeah, so I don't remember what the hell you asked me. Or how we started talking about that meeting, or where
I was just asking if you go to meetings and you still
sponsor
people.
I do. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, you guys got anything else while we have her?
I think we covered.
I think we
pretty
covered
good,
quite
good
a
range.
pretty big
Hell
range of
yeah.
stuff.
That's awesome.
I know you got a podcast. If you want to,
Yeah.
that.
Against All Odds podcast on YouTube. It's at Against All Odds Pod on YouTube. There's another Against All Odds podcast, but it's not like ours.
Nah.
Okay.
We'll,
different.
We'll get it to pop up across.
Yeah,
Joe.
we'll have a little
Yeah.
pop
Joe will
up
hook that
thingy
up
for
you.
it. But you're on all the platforms.
Yes.
You're the easiest person to find.
I'm so sorry.
Just
Go get your daily dose of affirmations.
I will have people come up to me in public and they're like, "You're all over my For You page," and I'm like, "I'm so sorry.
I
like
know.
it's a lot."
No,
Like,
I was
You
telling
know
you
that.
when we started this, the girl at work was like, "You got to get Rachel Elizabeth on," and I was like, "Cool." And she's like, "She's so big in recovery, and she has such a big platform." And when I pulled some of your videos up, and I was showing my fiance, she's like, "I know her. Like I've seen her videos."
And
so
Yeah, that's
then
crazy
we
to
said
me.
it to another. It was a dude, like a guy, like mid
people at work.
40s. And they
Everybody
were
at work
like,
knows who you
they were
are.
like, "What? Like, yeah, we know her." Like, it's
It's
just
insane.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's
Yeah.
so
Is that
wild.
crazy when people come up to you and like,
Yeah, it's just something that I just, like I said, I was saying before, like I just don't know if I'll ever get used to that. I love it when it happens. Like I love it when it happens because I've had this whole platform because of the people that follow me, right? So when I get
Right.
to meet them in person, I get to say like thank you and give them a fucking hug in real life and
Yeah.
be like thank you for your support and
Yeah.
like I love you. That's really fucking cool. But it's crazy.
is
It's a
it
little
crazy
wild.
for your kids? Are they like,
They're used to it
Are
by
they used
now,
to
which
it?
is,
Yeah.
and it's so funny because my oldest, when it first started happening, he was like, "Whoa!" But my youngest, I've been, he's 4, so like for the last 2 years since I started getting recognized, it's like normal to him now, and he's like,
Yeah.
ugh, like every time I have to have, he doesn't understand, he doesn't really know, he
Yeah.
doesn't know anything different,
Yeah.
so it's kind of funny to see like the differences between two of my kids because Silas is young enough that like this is just how what he's known.
yeah.
So doesn't know it to be weird. He's just like always, why is my mom talking to so many fucking people all the
Yeah.
time,
yeah?
But yeah, it's.
I got recognized at a hockey game with my daughter, and when we walked away, my daughter was like, "Dad, we're not gonna be able to go many places before too long because they're gonna start recognizing." And I was like, "Shut up, Kaylin." Well, what's crazy is that lady that recognized me, she reached out to us, and her son was, I won't say any names, but her son was getting out of jail, and she was like, "Can you help him get in somewhere, like
yeah.
sober living?" And he's at J. Klein Sober Living now.
That's awesome. I
It
love
wasn't
that.
planned like that.
It wasn't planned like that.
I just can't help
But-
it. They all want to live with me.
I
But
had put a post on Facebook and I said I need help getting someone in. And you know how our community is. When you ask for help, it's insane how many people are
Oh,
willing
yeah.
to help. Like it's insane what all these people do, and they come together. And yeah, we had him in sober living quick. So when he got out, he didn't have to go back to the streets.
Yeah.
and he
He's
was
killing it right now. He's already
he's
got a
doing
job.
great.
He even
Hell
started his first
yeah.
day yesterday.
Yeah, you guys put out the bat signal better than like.
Oh, we're gonna do that. We're
community.
gonna show up and
It's
show out.
just-
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen.
I
as a
think
guy
when you
from the
get a
outside
bunch
in.
of addicts, like how hard we go in our addictions, if we go that hard for recovery, it's fucking
yeah.
the power and the things that can come from that is just so wild. I saw this one like video on social media or something. It's like this lady and she's like, you gotta wake up and get it like a crackhead today.
Yeah.
Like get it
No, look,
like
no.
a crackhead.
I mean,
you know,
for real.
and no, but for real though, because crackheads go fucking hard.
Yeah.
I'm literally speaking about
Yeah.
myself. If I put that same energy that I put into my addiction and getting the next one into my life and like bettering my life and bettering other people's lives.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So once we shift that focus, that obsession, that fucking compulsion and like all of that, we shift that somewhere positive, the things that
That's the
happen
key.
are wild.
Because I could wake up with nothing
Right.
and end the day with something at least.
Right.
I'm gonna get $20 one way or another.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get $20. Believe
Something.
that.
Yeah. I'm leaving here with
In
something.
about 10 minutes, I'm gonna get $20. I don't care what I gotta do or how I gotta do it, but we're gonna get it.
Well, just like that, episode 20 in the biggest of fucking ways.
20. Is it
Great.
20?
20?
20 Joe? 20?
20. Yeah, 20.
Vente.
Well, Rachel Elizabeth, thank you a million times
Thanks
over
for
for
having
showing up
me.
and hanging out with our dumbasses
Yeah, of
for a little
course.
while. And like, subscribe, go watch Rachel Elizabeth,
follow her.
on everything, notification bells, all the things,
Comment.
comment, the all of it. Episode 20, Two Addicts and a Moron. The lovely Miss Rachel Elizabeth, over and out.
Yeah.